this. And we are actually going to start today. Welcome, everyone. We're going to start today lying down. Very rare for me to start this way, but when I tuned in, it felt like the right place to start. So you can go ahead and lie down. If you want to support yourself, you can support yourself by placing like a blanket or pillows underneath your knees, something underneath your back. Just be comfortable and in a place where you can relax and let go. And then close your eyes. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Open your mouth, let it go. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more just like that. Full breath in. Take in another sip of air. And then exhale, release. Usually we wait until the end of class, many yoga classes, in Shavasana to let go. But today we're starting in this surrendered place, this released place, so that we can truly build a fresh foundation. There's so much going on in our lives, in our world, in our energy. And it can often manifest in tension, stress, pain in the body when we hold on or when we push down a feeling. So in this moment, laying here on your mat, know that you are safe, you are healthy, you are well, and it is okay to let down your guard. It's okay to let down any barriers, any walls, any protection that you've put up, and fully release. Big breath in. Big breath out. Scan the body here and notice how you're showing up to the practice today. Perhaps noticing those areas where you do hold more tension or tightness or stress. For me, it's often in my belly, in my shoulders, in my jaw. So just working your way from head to toe. And if you can, release. Feel the support of the mat, the support of the ground beneath you. And let yourself release into that. Big breath in. Big breath out. Another inhale. And another exhale. We're going to be here for just another moment. And I'm going to read a tarot card. This is a card that's been coming up, or that came up yesterday in a conversation, and it feels very relevant to where our world is right now, and perhaps how many of us are feeling right now. So the card is the Tower card, and the image is of a tree being struck by lightning. The top of the tree is burning and starting to crack and fall down. And this card represents unexpected upheaval. When the Tower card appears, it's time to brace yourself for change. The well-rooted tree that's been growing strong for decades is crashing down around you. Your world may feel as though it's literally falling apart and you didn't see it coming. Even though this phase is painful and confusing, it will be over soon. You'll look back and feel grateful things changed course. You might even see it as a personal breakthrough in the end. And the message, besides obviously that message in the card, the message that I wanted to share in connection with that today is this message of surrender. Surrendering to the process, surrendering to things that are out of your control, and allowing yourself to break down, to release, to let go, to fall apart in order to start anew. So we're starting here on our backs, in surrender, in release, and then we're going to build up the body, creating a new foundation, a new structure for you to move forward from. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Open your eyes, start to bring small movement back into your body. And we will meet up on hands and knees. Up on hands and knees. So take your time, no rush. If you're just joining, you're not late. You're right on time. Welcome to class. We're going to start in a tabletop position, so the ultimate foundation shape. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. And if you've come to my class before, this is going to sound like a broken record. But truly, each time we come onto the mat, we can measure ourselves out, we can measure our stance out, and start anew. So find your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees right underneath your hips. If you do have a block or a book or something like a shoebox even with a right angle, you can put that up against your forearm to find that right angle. You can put a block up against your thigh to find that right ankle. Even if you have the video to the side like I do, you can kind of look at your video and see that you are in this really stable shape. And then just shift your weight a little bit forward and a little bit back, keeping your hands and your feet and your knees right where they are. But simply noticing what it feels like to be back. So the back, leaning back, coming back onto the heels of the hands. This is our past. It's really safe and stable and known. And then shift yourself forward into the pads of the fingers. Your shoulders start to come over your wrists. Your feet maybe even start to lift off the mat a little bit. This is more into our future. And it's exciting, but it's also unknown, scary. And then when we have our shoulders over our wrists, our knees right over or right under our hips, we are in the present moment. We're at 90 degrees, we're in our joint space, and this is a really safe place to move from. So as you inhale, drop your belly, let your heart look up, stretch through the front of your body, maybe even lift it through your eyes. And then exhale, coil and round the spine, press the floor away. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart, look up. Exhale, coil and round. And then you continue to move at your own pace. You can go fast with this, so right away you can start to heat things up. You can really start to move it, waving through the spine. Or you can continue to take it slow. But don't just do the thing that feels good. I wrote about this yesterday on Instagram and in my email newsletter this week. The thing that feels good isn't always the thing that's going to help us change. Eating chocolate cake for breakfast sometimes feels good in the moment, but that's not going to help you with your gut health or your weight loss goals or whatever your goal is, feeling good. So maybe you whip it up a little bit faster. Perhaps you simply use your breath and you link this movement more with your breath. Staying in that center place over the palms, over the knees, take another round in and out, and then come back through center. Find your neutral spine. Once again, without moving your body, just shift your weight more into the heels of your hands. Notice if that's where you naturally go, and then shift your weight more into the pads of the fingers, if that's easier for you. And then find the center of the palm. So you're equally distributing the weight between the heels of the hands and the pads of the fingers. That's that center moment, that present moment, that center place. Good. And then flip your right palm around 180 degrees so that the fingers face back towards the knee. The heels of the hands line up. So you didn't move your hand forward or back. It's still right underneath your shoulder. Micro bend in your elbow so you're not locking the wrist, and then start to take circles around that wrist. So we're moving in a circular direction. You can imagine that there's a clock behind you and you're trying to hit all 12 hours of the clock. Or maybe you imagine that clock underneath your wrist. So we are flossing the joint here. We're cleaning up the joint. We're informing the joint in a new way. If there's a place where you don't like to go, no worries. No judgment, but it is information. Good, come back through center. Take it the opposite direction, so go counterclockwise. This might feel a little more awkward or less awkward. All the way around the wrist. And then notice what's going on in the hand. If the thumb is picking up, if the fingers are picking up, plug them back in. Come back through center, look forward. Imagine that right collarbone coming out towards its own side. And then flip the palm around, don't shake it out, just plug it right back in. Shift your weight a little bit back and a little bit forward. Find that center place in the palm. And then left hand flips all the way around. All the way around, plug it in. Micro bend in the elbow so you're not locking in the elbow. And then start to take circles around that wrist. On this side, I usually start counterclockwise. So maybe that's what you did. If not, no big deal. But going all the way around the wrist joint, noticing how this feels similar or different from the other side. Notice what's going on in the fingers. If you're gripping in the fingers, relax them. And then switch directions. So the opposite way around the wrist, moving around that joint, cleaning it up. Again, I like to think of this as flossing. We're doing some flossing for the wrists. We're going to do some flossing for the ankles. And then we're going to do our shoulders. Cleaning up all those joints. Good. Come back through center. Flip the palm around. Plug it right back in. Imagine both collarbones spreading out towards their own sides. Beautiful. And then tuck your toes and come to sit back on your heels. So toes are tucked. If you have a block or a pillow or a blanket, you can bring that with you. And if this is super intense, you can place the block between your heels and your butt. But you can also sit back on your heels. We're not going to be here for that long, and it is meant to be slightly uncomfortable. Go ahead and close your eyes, put your hands on your thighs, and just take a little bounce. Taking a little bounce, opening up the bottoms of the feet, opening up the toes, noticing what your feet are doing. Are your heels kind of splaying out? Is all of your weight in one side of the foot? And then see if you can plug in through all 10 toes, drawing the heels in towards one another. Staying here for another breath or two, just moving some of that energy in the feet. And then come forward, back onto your hands and knees. Untuck your toes. You can tap the tops of your feet onto the mat. And then keep the toes untucked, come to sit back on the heels. Lift up through the knees. So now we're opening up the front of the foot. Draw the heels closer in towards one another. Lift up through the knees. And really stretch out through that front top part of the foot. You can walk your hands back. This is where we're all kind of different. You know, sitting back like this might be enough for you, or you can walk your hands back and really lift those knees. Eventually you get the knees to lift so much, maybe you reach for the knees with a back bend so that your heart is still lifting up, your spine is long, and you can get some air time. Come forward onto hands and knees, tuck your toes, and then send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, lift the heels slightly, bend the knees and stick your buttock bones back and up. So you're creating a really nice crease in your hips here, a beautiful equilateral triangle with your body and the mat. And then inhale, come forward to your plank pose. Your shoulders are over your wrists. Your heels reach straight back. Yeah, so those heels are firing back. Your heart looks forward. Good, and then hinge your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So keeping the hands and the feet right where they are, just move your hips up and back, down dog. Inhale forward to your plank pose, shoulders over your wrists, heels reach back. Notice if your butt is up or maybe your hips are dropping down, and see if you can come into that long line. Hips up and back, downward facing dog, and then you'll move between these two shapes, coming forward to a plank, back to a dog, forward to a plank, back to a dog a few times. And this is creating a crease in your hips. So the hips are the first major joint, the biggest joint of the body. So by moving between these two poses, It's like we are folding and unfolding and creating that first crease, as if the body were origami, we were making something, we're creating that first crease, and we really want to crease it well. Pause when you get back to a dog. Maybe walk from hand to hand, foot to foot. Get a little light on the hands. Once again, notice if you're back in the heels of the hands or if you're all up in the fingers. And then see if you can plug in through all four corners of the hand, all four corners of the palm actually, and then lift up and out. So you're actively lengthening through your spine, actively lifting the hips up. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Drop your knees down to the mat. Send your hips back to your heels for a brief child's pose. Maybe you rest your forehead down. You can take your knees wide, child's pose, or the one I've been liking lately is knees together and then letting my chest rest on my thighs. Good. And then come back into a downward facing dog. Actually, come back to sit just so you can look up here and watch me for a moment. We're gonna go through that same movement, but we're gonna add an additional layer onto it. So down dog to plank, down dog to plank, and then we're going to go into a forearm down dog. So you're gonna bend your elbows and send your hips straight up. So if you want to, you can come into your plank right now and practice that forearm down dog. The elbows bend straight back. If this isn't something you've done before or it's new for you, it might feel a little awkward, it might feel a little challenging, that's okay. So your elbows come down to the mat, your hips go up. Keeping a little bend in the knees is gonna help here. And then you'll spring forward back into your plank, back into your dog. Come forward to your plank, down to your forearms, come forward to your plank, and back to your dog. And you'll continue this pattern. Again, we're creating some heat here, but working in the joints of the body. If you have a strap, if you happen to have a strap, this can be a nice one to grab onto your strap, make a loop, and then place that strap around the upper elbows. It's not necessary, but especially if you're having trouble here with the arms popping out or the arms knocking in, the strap creates a nice boundary. And if you need a break, take a break, but also pump it a bit. Heat yourself up. And if for any reason form is not possible for you, you can always move between your down dog and your plank. Let's all go for another 3 or 5 rounds. Again, really getting that hinge in the elbows. It's interesting because in many yoga classes, especially vinyasa classes, we ask a lot of our elbows doing so many chaturangas, but we don't work in that joint so much. Beautiful. And then come back to your downward facing dog. Walk from hand to hand, foot to foot. Again, if anytime you need a break, you can take a break, but I'm gonna keep going. And then root through all 4 corners. So really root down through your hands, root down through your feet, get a little bit lighter in your arms. You're gonna take your right hand, palm faces up to your lower back. See if you can imagine those collarbones going out towards their own side, not letting the hips drop over to the side, really lifting them up. Look forward, and then switch sides. Right hand comes down, left hand to lower back. Look forward, lift both hips up. So my right hip on this side tends to drop. Lift it up. And then drop that hand down. Take it one more time each side. Working on getting yourself into your legs. So being really light on your forearms. You can walk it out here. And then we'll meet back in a downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to your plank. This time, drop your hips, modified upward facing dog. So hips drop, heels fire back. So your toes stay tucked, your heart lifts forward. Nice belly stretch. And downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. 2 more things here, then we're gonna move on. Walk your feet in just slightly. So you're in a shorter downward facing dog, or you can walk your hands in.
Right hand is going to come to your left outer heel for a twist. So grab onto the heel, look underneath your armpit, and then start to twist yourself to the left. Keep both hips lifting up. Maybe you look up and underneath that left armpit, press into the left arm so you're lengthening out there. Full breath in, full breath out. And then switch sides. Right hand comes down, left hand out, outer right heel. It's really important to grab for the outer heel, just gives you better leverage. And then twist to the right. Keep your hips lifting up. If you need to walk your dog in a little shorter, you can. And then look underneath that right armpit, breathing in and breathing out. Drop your hand down, walk it forward to your plank, drop your hips, modified upward facing dog, heels fire back, and downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. Walk your feet up to your hands, coming into a forward fold. Forward fold, top of the mat. So feet meet hands, hands meet feet. And then your feet are hips distance, so that's 2 fists apart. You can place your 2 fists in between the arches of your feet. And then grab on for opposite elbows and allow yourself to hang over yourself. If this is super intense for you and you have a blanket or a towel or a pillow, you can place that underneath your heels, just giving yourself a little high heel, a little lift. Allow your upper body to fold forward. A lot of us are super strong in our arms and our shoulders. And so just releasing is a challenge. But see if you can let go, if you can bring your belly to your thighs, maybe softening through your head, your neck, your shoulders, softening through your jaw. Good. Taking a few more breaths here. Keeping a slight bend in the knees. So a bend is an and it allows you to stay into your lower body. But as you bend your knees, lift your buttock bones up. So the buttock bones lift up. It's as if you could actually lengthen out through this back of the thigh. Switch which arm is on top if you're grabbing opposite elbows. And see if you can really get the hand into the elbow into the hand, a nice tight fit. Once again, soften your face, soften your jaw, relax your neck, your head, breath in and breath out. Release your arms down, let them dangle, and you'll slowly roll all the way up to stand. Go all the way up, take your time. Let your knees keep coming forward so that you unfold yourself to stand tall, shoulders stack over hips. Reach your arms up, hook opposite thumbs. So I'm hooking opposite thumbs above my head. And then take a little stretch side to side. So go up and over to the right. Plant both feet down, really go up first and then over. Bend the knees, go up and over to the left, stretching out through that side waist. And then come back through center. Drop your hands, drop your chin and start to fold over yourself. So coming back into that forward fold. Check to make sure your feet are hips distance, especially if you moved a little bit like me. So 2 fists in between the arches of your feet. And then this time, slide your hands underneath your feet. If this is not possible for you, again, I always encourage you to try, but if it's not possible for you, then just grab onto the opposite elbows. So hands underneath feet, toes come up to wrists. You can wiggle your toes a little, give yourself a wrist massage. Drop your head, drop your neck, soften through your face, soften through your jaw. And then like we did at the beginning of class, shift your weight more back into your heels without actually lifting your feet up off the mat. Just shift the weight back and then shift the weight more forward into your toes. And then find that center, that balance, equal distribution of weight between hands and feet, heels and toes. Soften the face, lift the buttock bones up, relax the belly. Take a breath in and a breath out. Release the hands, and then we're gonna slide the hands back behind the heels. So hands come to cup the heels. Again, if you can get it, a nice ball and mitt fit. The fingers kind of brush the inner arches or the arches of the feet. Drop your head, drop your neck. Soften your belly. Let your upper back go. Let your upper spine go. And allow your legs to hold you up. Now, even though we're folded forward here, this is not necessarily an easy pose. For me, actually, these are some of the most challenging postures in yoga because you're really being asked to be in your legs, to be in your stability, not to use your arms, your capability to hold yourself up. Release the arms, let them dangle. And once again, bend in the knees. Make sure the knees are pointing straight forward. Keep the knees driving forward as you roll all the way up to stand. Reach the arms up. This time, grab for your wrist. So grab for your left wrist with your right hand. Go up and over to the right. Keeping both feet plugging down. Grab for your right wrist with your left hand. Go up and over to the left. And then come back through center. Reach up. Root down through your feet. And one last time, fold all the way down. Over yourself, take your time. Let your head drop, your neck drop. Allow yourself to fold. Walk your fingertips out for this one. So you can put a little bit more bend in the knees. If you need to, reaching for the floor is too far. If you have 2 blocks or even a water bottle or something in front of you, a chair, you can bring your hands onto those blocks. Stick your buttock bones back. Lift up and out of your lower back. So you're really lengthening the spine here. Look forward and then walk those blocks over to the right as if there were a clock in front of you. You're coming to 2 o'clock. So either the blocks or you can be up onto your fingertips or grabbing for, again, if there's a chair or a sofa in front of you, you can reach for that. And then press down through both feet. Reach a little bit longer through that right side waist. So we're not crunching through that right side waist. Look forward, make a big arc as you walk the blocks back through center and up and over to the left side. Root down through both feet. Those knees are still pointing straight forward. Reach a little longer out of your left side waist. Maybe that left hand snakes forward a little bit more. Beautiful, look forward. And then walk your blocks, your hands back through center, release and fold over yourself. Little bend in the knees, one last time, roll all the way up to stand. Reach the arms up. This time, interlace the fingers to the webbing like you're making a tennis racket and reach the arms straight up. The palms flip towards the ceiling. Press equally through the heel of the hand and the palm of the hand, the inner heel or the pinky side of the hand and the thumb side, and then go up and over to the right. Maybe you want to look up and underneath that left armpit, and then go up and over to the other side, breathing in and breathing out. Come back through center, release your palms, and fold all the way forward. Forward fold, if you had that blanket or pillow or towel underneath you, you can move it out of the way and step back to a downward facing dog. Walk from hand to hand, foot to foot. If you want to come forward to your modified up dog, you can do that, or to your plank, either works. And downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Full breath in, full breath out. Drop your knees to the mat, hips to heels, brief child's pose. Again, your knees can be wide or your knees can be together. Take a moment, come back to your breath. Maybe come back to that idea of surrender. And then we'll come up to sit. Come up to sit. I'm sitting on a block. The block is this long ways underneath my sit bones and a blanket. You can sit up on a blanket, a towel, a pillow, a bolster, a chair. Pull the flesh away from your sitting bones so that you can be up on top of yourself. Your perineum or your pelvic floor is pointing straight down, plugging straight down. And as promised, we're gonna do a little flossing for our shoulders because, like I mentioned, a lot of us hold
our tension up here. We hold it in our upper body and our shoulders and our jaw. And so I'm gonna walk through it. Actually, we're just gonna do it together. I'm gonna kind of angle myself this way because I'm gonna turn around during half of it just so you guys can see the whole thing. But this is a really great opportunity because I don't think that I'm the same side as you, and I'm not gonna mirror this. This is a great opportunity to tune into your hearing. Yes, of course, you can look at the screen, but listen to what I'm cueing. So we're gonna begin the right hand. This is all just gonna happen in the arms and the upper body. Your lower body isn't gonna move. Your right hand is going to reach for your left knee. And if you can't get your knee, you can grab onto your thigh, totally fine. Left hand is then gonna reach over for your right knee. Try not to round so much in the spine. So again, if you have to move the arms up, that's totally cool. The right hand is then going to slide behind you and wiggle it up your back. So this is where I'm gonna turn around so you guys can see. So the arm's gonna wiggle up your back, trying to get it towards the middle of your spine. If it doesn't make it there, no worries. The left arm then reaches out, and as if you're serving a platter in front of you, sweep it over to the left side. Flip the palm down, bend in the elbow, and then use that left hand onto the right elbow to give yourself a boost, to get that arm a little further up, a little closer to center. The left arm then reaches all the way up, bend in the elbow, and then see if you can grab for your fingertips behind you. If you can't, you can grab for your shirt, but of course, try for the bind. And then if you're twisted to one side, come back through center, take a big breath in, and a big breath out. All right, second side. I'm gonna stay facing back and then I'll turn around. Left hand comes to right knee. Right hand comes to left knee, so the arms are crossed in front of you. Left hand then swoops behind you, scoop it up towards your right hip. If you can get through your right heel, that's fine. And then you slide it up your back so that the left back of the hand comes to the middle of the spine. In Chinese medicine, they call this part of the spine the Sea of Forgiveness. Right arm then sweeps out in front of you over to the right like you're serving a platter. Bend in the elbow, flip the palm down, reach for the left elbow and give it a boost. This side's a little stickier for me. Reach that right arm up and over, bend in the elbow, go for the bind, go for the grab, and then come back through center so you're facing forward. Take a breath in and a breath out. All right, I'm gonna turn around and we're gonna do that a couple times. So if you want to close your eyes, if it's distracting to see what someone else is doing in front of you, that's fine. We're just gonna move a little bit quicker, opening up the joints of the shoulder. Right hand, left knee. Left hand, right knee. Right hand to left heel, left lower back, and then scoop that hand up your spine so that the back of the palm comes to the center of the back. Left arm reaches out in front of you like you're serving a platter. Flip the palm down, bend in the elbow, and grab for that right elbow with the left hand. The left arm then reaches up like an arc. Bend in the elbow, reach for the bind, and turn yourself back to center. Left hand, right knee. Right hand, left knee. Left hand to right heel or right hip. Scoot that hand up your back. Right arm reaches out in front of you. Flip the palm down, bend in the elbow. Give yourself a boost by grabbing onto that left elbow. And then right arm reaches all the way up and over. Bend in the elbows. Go for the bind and turn forward. One more time each side. Right hand, left knee. Left hand, right knee. Right hand, left heel or left lower back. Work that hand up your middle back. Left arm reaches out in front of you. Flip the palm down, bend the elbow. Give yourself a boost. Left arm then reaches up and over. Bend in the elbow. Go for the bind. Come back through center. Last time, left hand, right knee. Right hand, left knee. Left hand, right heel. Scoot that hand up your middle back. Right arm reaches out in front of you. Flip the palm down, bend the elbow. Give yourself a boost. Reach the right arm up. Bend in the elbow. Go for the bind. Turn back through center. Big breath in. Big breath out. Release the hands. Bring both hands on your lap. Just go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath in and a breath out. Let your shoulders soften. And then open up your eyes, and we're going to come back to a downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And we're going to come into a pigeon pose from here. So we worked the wrists, we worked the ankles, the feet, we worked the shoulders, and now we're really going to get into the hips. So come back into your downward facing dog. And then you're going to bring your right foot forward, coming into your pigeon shape. So if you do have a blanket or a bolster or a pillow or a towel, it's really nice to have something underneath you. You can even use blocks, and it can really, anything goes, especially for this pose. The right foot is going to walk over to the left side of the mat. The right knee points out towards the right. And the important thing here is I don't want your hips splaying out to opposite directions. I'm going to use that clock metaphor again. If there were a clock on your pelvis, your right hip would be at 3 o'clock and your left hip would be at 9 o'clock. So you want those hips square, which maybe like me, you're pretty open and you could come all the way down to the mat. But that's not necessarily going to serve you. We want to have those hips level so that we can create the length and create space. So perhaps that means placing a block or another blanket or another pillow underneath you. It's okay to support yourself to re-inform the pelvis. So if I just let the hips go to either side, I'm opening up through the groin, which most of us don't need our groins more open. We need more structure, more boundaries, and we want to open up actually the front of the hip, not the groin area. So if you're in this shape correctly, again, the right hip goes to the right at 3 o'clock, the left hip is at 9 o'clock. That back foot can plug down into the mat. So the top of the foot plugs down. And then you can walk yourself forward. This is where, again, if you have blocks, you can put them underneath you. Even if you just have a pillow or something, you can put it underneath you. You can stay up on your forearms. You can come down onto something. But what I do want here is for everyone to feel supported in the lower body. So even if you are, like if you don't have props and you do have to stay up on your forearms, I want us all to really fight for that organization of the pelvis. So right hip to 3, left hip to 9. That left thigh is rotating inward. The left hip is coming forward, up and around. And then you're lifting up and out of your lower back. Maybe you can imagine that you're lengthening your spine and growing even longer forward towards the front of the space. And again, if you do have props and you can come down, you can put a block underneath your chest. That can be really nice. If you have another block, you can put it underneath your forehead. Or another variation is to put blocks underneath your armpits to create more space in the torso. But let yourself soften into whatever shape you have chosen, whatever shape you are in. And take a few breaths here. Again, allowing the stability of the pelvis to be from the structure that you've created, not necessarily from holding yourself up with your muscles. And then we're going to use a technique called cross-referencing here. And what that means is we're going to use the imagination, the breath, the awareness to create more space in the torso. So as you inhale, imagine that right hip pulling further back towards its own side. As you exhale, imagine that left shoulder growing a little bit longer. If you have that arm reached out, you can imagine that that arm is growing longer, not because someone's pulling you out of the socket, but because actually the space of the torso is increasing. And then as you inhale, imagine that left hip, that left leg growing longer back behind you. And as you exhale, that right shoulder reaches forward, that right corner reaches forward, as if you were an artist and your body was your canvas and you were stretching it out. You can continue with that visualization, expanding, creating more space in the body for another breath or two.
And then you'll start to walk yourself up. If you have blocks, if you have 2 blocks, you can grab onto those and put them underneath your hands. If not, no worries. Like we did in our little chair shape, or actually in our fold shape, you're going to walk your hands up and over to the right, reaching out through the side waist, lengthening through both sides, looking forward, and then arc it up and over to the left. So over to the foot side, reaching out long through both sides, but especially through that left side waist. And then come back through center. Come to sit up on it. If you have a block underneath you, remove it. And we're gonna come into double pigeon. So I'm just gonna move so I face you guys. So that left leg is gonna swing out in front of you, and you're gonna stack ankle to knee. This is a really nice shape to come up onto blankets. If you wanna fold your blanket even higher, bring yourself up higher. And if your knee doesn't come down, no worries, it's fine. Grab on to, you can bring your fingertips next to you, lift your butt out, stick your butt out. So it's like you're making an arch in your spine. You can pull the flesh away from your sitting bones and rock yourself slightly forward in your pelvis so that you're really sitting up on top of yourself. You can stay right here. I like to reach up and grab for opposite elbows just to give myself some lift. If you want a little bit more restorative and you have blocks, you can bring your blocks underneath you just as something to plug your hands into and lift your sternum. Or you can start to walk your hands forward on blocks or not and bring this into a little bit of a fold. You'll notice as you fold, naturally that knee that's on top will start to drop down. The fold is a hinge, it's not a round. So think coming out of your waist, coming out of your hip joint, and then you fold a little bit deeper. Breathing in, breathing out, inhaling, and exhaling. If you feel yourself gripping in any place here, release, relax, let go. And then start to walk yourself back up. We're gonna come back through a pigeon to come to a dog, to come to the other side. So you'll swing your left leg back, coming into your pigeon, and then send it back to a dog. If you have props or a table or something in the way, it doesn't have to be fancy. Just bring yourself back to your downward facing dog. You can walk from hand to hand, foot to foot, maybe rolling through the hips, rolling through the head, and then we'll come into the left side. So the left shin will swing forward. You can step it forward and then adjust it. Put yourself up on blankets, on pillows, on blocks here. And then sit up on it for a moment. Use your imagination to find 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock with the hips. Again, that right foot, and something that's helpful for me here is to tuck the toes of the right foot and then rotate that right thigh inward so that the hip is coming forward and around, and then untuck the toes, plug the foot into the mat. Just so I'm squaring off the hips more, again, not opening up through the groin. Good. You can stay for a moment sitting up on it and then come down, supporting yourself. Maybe you find a different version of support. Finding blocks underneath your sternum, blocks underneath your armpits, a pillow, a bolster, a blanket, whatever you have, a chair cushion. And then once again, in the shape, we're going to use that technique of cross-referencing to create more space in the torso. So as you inhale, imagine that that left hip, really that left sitting bone gets pulled back, creating a little bit more space in that left side waist. And then as you exhale, the right shoulder, the right arm, that right corner comes forward, pulling those two corners apart. And then that right hip pulls back, that right leg grows longer behind you. At the same time, the left shoulder comes forward, creating more space in your spine, in your torso, like you're that artist and you're stretching the canvas of your body. Breathing in and breathing out. Another inhale. And then you'll come up onto fingertips. If you have your blocks, great. If not, no problem. Walk it up and over to the left to begin, so towards the knee side. Really reach out of that left arm so you're not just collapsing into that left side waist and crushing that left kidney. And then go up and over to the other side, lengthening out through that right arm, keeping your hips back behind you. You can imagine that someone were holding on to your hips and keeping them right where they are. Look out. And then come back through center, come to sit up on it, and we'll come into double pigeon on this side. So swing that right leg around. So the right ankle stacks on top of knee. This is actually double pigeon. Some people call it ankle to knee pose. Pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. If you need to roll up your blanket again or put something else underneath your seat, that's fine. And then again, a few options you can grab for opposite elbows. So probably the one that feels a little awkward. This is nice to lift yourself up, and not lifting yourself up by just reaching your shoulders up, but by tilting your pelvis forward, plugging in, and then lengthening up through your spine, keeping the integrity, keeping the foundation, that steady foundation, while also lifting up. Not disembodying, not disconnecting, but staying with yourself. If you want, you can drop the hands onto blocks or to the floor. This can also be a nice place to take a little side stretch, or like we did before, walk your hands out in front of you, coming into the fold, lifting up and out of your waist, folding forward, letting the fold be a hinge versus a round or a curve. Breathing in and breathing out, whatever sensations are coming up, be with them. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The hips are known as the emotional hoarding ground of the body. And so you might feel things here. That's okay. It is safe to feel all the feelings. Good. Start to walk yourself up. We're going to come into one last downward facing dog. So if you want to, you can swing that right leg behind you, coming into your pigeon to then come back into your dog. Or if that all feels like a whole lot of nothing, just come back to your dog. Walk from hand to hand, foot to foot, feeling all four corners, feeling all 4 points of contact. And then drop your knees onto the mat. And we'll come into a seat for breath work and meditation. So you do want to be in a comfortable seat here. Again, I'm going to sit up on a block, maybe put a blanket underneath you. If this is uncomfortable for you, if you don't have props, you can also come to sit in a chair. Pull the flesh away from your sitting bones so that you are on top of yourself. Your perineum points straight down. You can plug in. You can feel like you can land and ground on that block beneath you. You can go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. You can rest your palms on your thighs. Together, let's take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Inhaling and exhaling. And open up your eyes. We're going to move through a series of pranayama or breathwork techniques. All of these are meant to, or they likely will be agitating. They're not necessarily easy. Breathwork tends to bring a lot of stuff up. But I challenge you to stay with it, to sit with whatever emotion or feeling is coming up, and just keep going. We're not going to be here in each shape for that long. So the first place we're going to start is arms are going to reach up and form a V. Hands will come into little cups. So make them nice cups, as if something were to rain down from the sky, whether it water or Skittles or money or whatever, and you could actually catch it in your hands. And then close your eyes. We're going to take a breath of fire here. So a breath of fire is a sharp exhale out through the nose. The focus is on the exhale. The inhale comes automatically. So it looks and sounds like this.
So the belly pumps in and up. So we'll take a breath in together and a breath out, and then begin your breath. So most likely you're practicing alone. You're not in a class doing this, but start to imagine that you could hear the breath of others around you, that your breath was loud enough to be audible for your neighbor, and that there's someone there next to you inspiring you to keep going even when you want to stop. So keep going. Pumping the breath, holding the arms up, keeping the integrity of those cups for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Reach the arms ahead, hook the thumbs, hold the breath full. Take in 3 more little sips like you're sipping through a straw. Go down to your perineum, your pelvic floor, plug it in, and imagine that you're popping the cork to a champagne bottle. As you exhale, let the breath pop out the crown of your head, release the arms down. Keep the eyes closed, palms rest on your thighs. Notice any shift, any difference. Pranayama works with our nervous system. It works with our chemical form. And so often the shifts are immediate. You can feel a change immediately. Good. And then you can open your eyes for a moment just to see what we're doing next. You're going to make the hands into fists. And then as if you're bouncing on a trampoline, or maybe you want to think like you're riding a horse, you're going to bounce up and down on your butt bones. So you're bouncing up and down, your arms are shaking, maybe you hear my voice shaking, everything's shaking. You can close your eyes, and it's just an in and out breath. So it's not the Kapalabhati, the breath of fire we were doing before, where you're just focusing on the exhale. It's an in and out, in and out. And really what we're doing here is shaking up your body, shaking up your energy, moving through anything that might be stagnant or stuck or settled. We're really working with the earth of the body, the soil of the body, bouncing up and down, moving things around. So in and out, in and out. And even though you have fists here, and this is more of an active breath, see if you can soften the face. If you can release any clenching in your jaw, in your shoulder, in your chest, in your butt, and let yourself bounce. Imagine things that have felt stuck, just releasing, whether that's a physical body sensation, something that's been challenging for you, or an emotion. In and out for a few more. And then reach the arms up, hook the thumbs overhead, take the opposite thumb on top, breathe in 3 more little sips like you're sipping through a straw. Hold the breath full, feel that fullness, that ripeness. And then as if you're popping the cork to a champagne bottle, let the breath exhale out the crown of the head, the arms release down, palms by your thighs, keep the eyes closed. Notice any shifts. Notice any sensations, any thoughts or feelings that might have been stirred up. And then last one here, go ahead and open your eyes. This one is really for our immune system. So our immune system, the center of our immune system is our thymus gland, which is right in the center of your chest. So we're going to take one hand out towards the side. One hand is going to tap on the chest. And then all on the exhale, we're going to shift the arms and breathe out, 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 out. So you can start pumping the breath here. Close the eyes if you've got it down, and just exhale, 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 exhale. As you're tapping that center of the chest, you're stimulating your immune system. And for these first a few moments here, let's just imagine what we're taking out. So you can imagine any bad thoughts, any bad energy, any memories, any belief systems that are ready to go. Imagine that you're taking them out of your heart, you're taking them out of your body, all on the exhale, out, 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 out. Keeping the arms strong and lifted, out, 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 out. And if you feel ready, if you feel like you've taken everything out, if you don't, no worries, just keep going out. But if you want to, you can think about the things that you're putting back in now. What are you taking from the universe? What are you asking for from the universe and bringing back in? Still breathing out. Keep going, even if the arms get tired. Maybe you even want to speed it up a little here. Out, 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 out. Bring the arms up. Hook the thumbs. Take a full breath in. 3 more little sips like you're sipping through a straw. Go down to your perineum, your pelvic floor. Plug that in. Zip it all up. And as if you are a champagne bottle and you're popping the cork, exhale, let the breath go, release the arms down, keep the eyes closed. Take a moment. Breath in, breath out. We're going to play with that cross-referencing technique that we did in pigeon pose. In the body here, keeping the eyes closed, keeping the shoulders soft. Just a final moment to restructure, reinform, release, to create space for the things we want, the things we need. So using your imagination, find your right buttock bone and pull it back. Cross-reference that to your left hip, creating more space between those 2 points. And then find your left buttock bone, pull that back. Might just be in your imagination. Cross-reference that to your right hip point, making more space in your pelvis. And going back to your right buttock bone, root that down. On your next breath, find your left shoulder, your left collarbone, pull that out and up. Find your left buttock bone, root that down. Find your right shoulder, your right collarbone, pull those 2 corners apart, creating more space in the torso, more space in the chest. And then find your right shoulder, your right collarbone, lengthen out. And cross-reference that to your left ear, your left temple, pulling those 2 corners apart. Find your left collarbone, your left shoulder, pull that out. Cross-reference to your right ear, your right temple, pulling those 2 corners apart. Creating more space in your head and your neck. One final time, find your perineum, your pelvic floor, plug that down. And staying rooted from that place. Lifting up through the spine, through the back of the neck, through the crown of the head. Finding your safety, your foundation, so that you can grow, you can lengthen, you can expand. Take a big breath in and a full breath out. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you all so much for coming to class today. I'm going to stay on for a few moments and unmute everyone. If you have questions, you can stay on. But also if you have something to run to or to do, you are welcome to sign on. And thank you so much. So let's just stop this.